Fallout New Vegas is objectively the best Fallout game, released in 2010, that was developed by Obsidian. Can you beat Fallout New Vegas with the worst companion of all time? Firstly, I actually don't know what I'm going to title this video, so if the title or thumbnail is completely different by the time this video comes out, shit. But the entire gimmick is I'm going to have a permanent companion I can never dismiss with a fat man at all times. It's not exactly ideal by any means because, yeah. So anyways, I start up the game. Davy Dumbface arose from the ashes, and I had to think about which companion I was going to take along on this adventure. And by I had to think about which companion I was wanting to take along on this adventure, I mean I constructed Davy Dumbface for the sole purpose of passing Arcade Ganon's low intelligence check because I want to husband him. So after a bit of traveling I got my beloved, gave him everything to start the challenge, and well, there's a bit of a problem. Sadly, for reasons I certainly couldn't comprehend, companions aren't exactly fond of using a fat man in melee range, and will swap to whatever their default gun is. And as far as I can tell, there's not exactly a way to permanently remove it from them. So I had to do something that no person could ever begin to comprehend. Firstly, I had to remake my character and gave him a better build. Again, I don't exactly know what's meta, but from what people could tell me, charisma is dog shit, luck is OP, skilled is OP, and good-natured is pretty good. So after forging Davy Dumbface 2.0, I had to go into the Prospector's Saloon, where he awoke. My sleep paralysis demon has returned upon this pitiful world. Shadow Davy, in the bone, is here to save us. So I looked up a few guides on how to code a companion in, and guess what? Shadow Davy is handcrafted to be perfect for this challenge. Not only do they have a near infinite supply of varying mini-nukes, fat men, and armor, enough health to never die, and maxed out special stats, but even gave them some dialogue, and just like the real Davy, they don't appreciate living, and will shoot nukes at everything that dares approach us. Perfect. We can begin our shitty disaster of a playthrough. Actually, before that though, if you're interested in me actually making this a thing you can download, let me know. I know the last time I asked about making a video series I didn't make it because Blizzard is a terrible company, and I am sorry about that, but all I'd have to do for this is record a few lines, iron out some kinks, and maybe add in some more dialogue. It'd be super easy and I wouldn't mind doing it. Anyways, back on topic, it was time for the first boss of this playthrough, the school. As an American, nuclear destruction and school are basically synonyms, and Shadow Davy seems to have the exact same thought process. And this is where the challenge gets fucking weird. At basically all times, I need to reenact my childhood and hide in a corner cowering in fear while my sleep paralysis demon slaughters every person in a 5-mile vicinity. Because as you can probably assume, getting hit with a nuke point blank isn't the best way to make your bones nice and strong. So indoor areas are fucking terrifying. Especially because, depending on the area, there's actually genuine chances I cannot progress because, who would have guessed, if you open a door and an enemy is right outside of the door, you don't really have a whole lot you can do other than just accept your death and load an old save. Anyways, school went bye-bye, Ringo is scarried, powder gangers want to shoot us. This is where something even more funny about this run can begin, friendly fire. In a lot of scenarios I have to pretty much guide Shadow Davy like a toddler on a leash because sometimes he'll just decide, uh-oh, there's an ally by the enemy. Do I shoot gun or do I shoot gun? And he shoots gun, and he kills them. And who would have guessed? The ally I kinda shot isn't particularly fond that they're dead, and neither are their allies, and sometimes I just get vilified. Such as seen here with me getting vilified with good springs instantly, reloading a save and having a sad face on the top left of the screen for like 5 minutes. This face right here, it's pretty much how I feel about this entire run. It's perfect. Anyways, this time Shadow Davy decided to not nuke Goodsprings. I got a few things before heading out, and the first thing I decided to do before anything else was get Eddie, because I fucking love Eddie, and he's pretty easy to get. Although, as you'll come to see very soon, This isn't exactly a good thing, and realistically, I should have just let Eddie rot away in that shop for his own good. On my way to get the necessary supplies, geckos started ravaging me, and let me tell you, melee enemies are terrifying, because there are a lot of times in this run I'll hear the combat music start, turn around in VATS, see a gecko chasing me down, and before I know it, my body is flailing through the air with all the grace of a decomposing possum on a highway baking in the sunlight. But don't you worry, geckos are just the beginning. I got my robo-bitch up and running, and I decided it was time to rescue Deputy Beagle. This is where I get to practice the strategy of running towards an enemy, luring them into Shadow Davy, and running before I die instantly. Kind of like a shitty tank in an MMO. But here's the thing about that, I thought at first grenades would be the easiest way to do that. But the funny thing about that is, Shadow Davy also takes friendly fire damage. And do you know what happens when Davy takes friendly fire damage? Game fucking over. The thread of prophecy is severed. Restore to saved game to restore the weave of fate or persist in the doomed world that I have created. So yeah. Also, do you remember how I said 15 seconds ago it was time to rescue Deputy Beagle? Yeah, that kind of didn't happen, because I guess Davy thought I actually meant it was time to fucking ass blast Beagle into Kingdom Come. Whatever. I got Eddie, that's what matters. Deathclaw land. This is simultaneously extremely easy in the fact that Shadow Davy is Shadow Davy, and literally cannot die while doing a bajillion damage. But it's also terrifying in the fact that the second a Deathclaw catches my scent and doesn't attack him, and tries to attack me, I'm fucking dead. Also, remember how I said Eddie might have been a mistake? It's not because he's bad, he's still great, and he even has that little jingle he does whenever we get into combat, and I fucking love him. But Eddie is unconscious. Eddie is unconscious. Eddie is unconscious. Your health is low. Eddie is unconscious. This is actually an abusive relationship. Anyways, the Deathclaws were scary, but nothing could prepare me for what happened next. After killing the Deathclaw Alpha, he who shall not be named fucking jump-scared me, and I told him straight up, "Don't fucking follow me, you'll live longer." And although he perceived that as a threat, I really do mean it. Run for the fucking hills, Malcolm, save yourself while you still can. Eddie is unconscious. Deathclaw Mom and Deathclaw Dad go bye-bye. Camp McCarran. I was thinking to myself, hey, NCR is pretty cool. I guess I'll talk to them a little bit and see what happens. Shadow Davy had other plans. He was not fond of that, and Sans undertailed me to an existence where every time I load to the last quick save, I am doomed to fucking die over and over and over again, for all eternity. Although, after this, I had a good plan. Why should I have to pass this dumb credit check when I have something even more influential on my side? And here's where an issue comes up. I can't really do either Yes Man's or Mr. House's route because that means I have to leave my companion outside, and hence that means I'll fail the challenge. Well, that's going to have to be a problem that future me is going to have to deal with because I'm not going to think right now. So now we're going to get big money. With a luck skill of 9, casinos turn into an over-glorified ATM where I get to spam one button for long enough and get a whole bunch of caps by existing. And after getting kicked out of Whorehouse, I got enough caps to buy this cool sniper rifle thingy. Going for a more long-ranged approach is absolutely the best choice for this run because, well, we're obviously never going to get into close range without fucking dying. And medium range is only slightly less dangerous, so that only really gives us one option. I talked to Benny, he told me to go upstairs, and he wasn't too happy with my existence and lack of speech skill. And miraculously I managed to survive the ambush on my first try. At this point, that one furry decided to tell me that Kaisar wants to talk to me, and I had to get my ass over to Cottonwood Cove. The trip there was rather uneventful, but as you could have predicted, once I got there I had a bit of a problem. I couldn't get into Caesar's tent without leaving my companion behind. And at this point I was desperate. I was scared that the challenge couldn't be beaten, but in a flash of Terran ingenuity I said, "Eddie, you stupid bitch. This is all your fault, constantly getting knocked unconscious and sticking by my side despite my abuse. Why don't you stay out here?" And miraculously, that worked. Remember how I said near the beginning there's a chance that this video's title was getting changed? Can You Beat Fallout New Vegas while being the biggest dickhead imaginable to Eddie is a solid contender for one of those titles. Although, to be fair with this newfound knowledge, I do wonder if Mr. House or Yes Man would have been doable. As the saying goes, hindsight is cringe if you don't even know what you're doing at every single given moment. If you actually think I'm going to allocate more than 4 of my 13 brain cells to thinking, you're fucking wrong. Anyways, I got to Pokemon Platinum, and was forced out of Mr. House's route, not because of my own choices, but Shadow Davy decided to start nuking everything in the building, which forced me to evacuate the bunker and fail the quest. Eddie is unconscious, and now I get to choose what happens to Benny, in which sadly, there is only one choice: crucifixion. I didn't know how to get him out. Fighting him in the arena only ensured either my death or becoming vilified by Caesar's Legion, and trying to kill him while he's tied down would only result in the same thing. So yeah, Matthew Perry is going straight to the Forbidden T-pose, and after this I had to kill Mr. House, which by the way, is doable, which kind of only enforced the fact that Caesar's Legion wasn't necessary. But to be fair, if we're going along with my shitty continuity, I'm sure it's what Shadow Davy would have wanted. Anyways, Mr. House is dead, Yes Man is rotting away in some random room, and it's time to talk to the boomers. Lots of menial tasks, and after about 2 of these quests I got bored and I went for the Raid Shadow Legends approach of just shoving enough money into their face that they'll be forced to like me. Which worked. It actually worked so well that Benny learned Shadow Clone Jitsu. I can say with complete confidence I have absolutely no fucking clue how this happens, but I think I am the first person in the entire world to not only crucify Benny, but do it twice. Is it weird that I'm oddly proud of this fact? Because I am. Anyways, afterwards I had to rescue the Flying Fortress from the lake, return to Caesar, do some things for some cannibals who I'm sure are quality individuals, and Davy swapped genders. Just like Matthew Perry's Shadow Clone Jitsu, I have no fucking clue how she did it, but despite the fact I'm playing Fallout New Vegas, I'm not a real Reddit gamer, TM. So I'll stand on the sidelines, but instead of cowering in fear like usual, I'll cower in fear and be an ally. Good job, Davy. What the fuck? Well, fortunately, Shadow Davy decided to reciprocate that emotion by deciding to upgrade her bland mini nukes into big kids, which deal significantly higher damage, does more radiation damage, and has reduced range. Now, if that doesn't sound like a particularly good thing, you're right. It literally is a downgrade across the board for me. And now, I actually have to worry about radiation, which is something that surprisingly wasn't too dangerous before this. Also, it gets worse, because guess what? We're in the Brotherhood of Steel headquarters now. Now I'm gonna ask you to think about something for a second. Look at these hallways. Now think about this. Now think about the enemies we're going to be fighting. An entire Brotherhood of Steel bunker in power armor. Now think about the fact that they're going to chase me through these hallways. Now factor in Shadow Davy and their nuke upgrades. It wasn't very fun. So yeah, I had to constantly run away from Davy's continuous onslaught, and even that wasn't enough a lot of the time because of the radiation damage often killing me off, because of how much she's slaughtering everything. Anyways, after an hour of hiding, dying, knocking Eddie unconscious, and even having to leave to buy a fuck ton of Radaway, twice, I finally destroyed the Brotherhood of Steel bunker and found out Caesar's head is having some big owies. Luckily, with this convenient level up, I can actually dump all of my points into medicine, take the Here and Now perk, dump all the points into medicine again, and be able to perform the operation. Although, as I later found out, this actually wasn't necessary, since my luck was at 9, I could actually just do the surgery on a whim. Which, although incredible, I had absolutely no clue that you could do that. So, frick. Anyways, it wasn't too much of a drag either way, and we can get to the last quest before taking on Hoover Dam. And I can say with unwavering confidence that this was the hardest mission in the entire playthrough, for every wrong reason. So we're tasked with killing President Kimball, and for some reason I could not beat this and return to Caesar's camp without immediately getting attacked. And that's not particularly good, because do you know what happened when Caesar attacks me? Caesar doesn't like me. That's why he's attacking me. And you know, at first I thought, okay, maybe I did the quest wrong, so let me go ahead and load an old save and do it again. I went to an old save that was before this quest. Caesar still did not like me. I don't fucking know what I did, but I had to go all the way back to the Brotherhood of Steel bunker, destroy it again, go back to the quest, do it again, which took about 9 times by the way, one of those attempts even including console commands, and then, and only fucking then, could I proceed to Hoover Dam. I don't know what I did, but judging from the fact that I went to a save where Caesar wasn't hostile, and then Caesar became hostile, even though it was a save that Caesar wasn't hostile, I fucking caused a Fallout New Vegas paradox. I don't know if this is fucking Shadow Benny's fault, but either way, as a mortal man floating on a dumb space rock, I am completely powerless to try and compete against the space-time continuum, so fuck it, we got there eventually, Hoover Dam. This is where Shadow Davy evolved her nukes into her final form, the Tiny Tots. Instead of shooting one big mini-nuke, it shoots 9 miniature mini-nukes. And at this point I have to question why they're called mini-nukes if the descriptions are going to be mini mini-nukes and big mini-nukes. I know below average nukes don't really have the same appeal, but I digress. 9 mini-nukes is surprisingly a bit more than 1 mini-nuke, although to be fair the explosion does nowhere near as much damage and the radiation aspect is almost entirely gone, so it's actually debatable if this is an upgrade or a downgrade. But I don't really care. Shadow Davy wasn't about to let anybody take this dam. She was out for blood. Caesar got his 9 kill streak and called in the big plane, and moving into the dam's interior area, Davy was not having anybody's shit. She needed everyone to know that she is a threat to society, starting with Eddie. Eddie is unconscious. I was up next evidently, and eventually we pushed forward to General Lee Oliver, who had his epic anime monologue telling me, "Yahaha, Spider-Man, I fortified this position to hold out against an army indefinitely." And Davy thought that was kinda funny, and nuked him in not even 7 seconds. I guess she's her own army. Anyways, what little remained of the NCR was swiftly killed off. We returned to Legate Lanius to tell him that General Lee Oliver is dead. We got full control of the dam and the slides rolled. But there's something a little bit off here. So I enabled player controls to see if my fears were in reason, and god fucking damn it, she made it into the ending room. I bet you didn't even know this was a room. Look, Ron the narrator's even here. And the first thing he did upon knowing about this power was do his best Eddie impression and was knocked unconscious repeatedly. And it was upon seeing this that I realized, I had to put her down. She's insatiable. She tortured Eddie repeatedly, now it's Ron the narrator, and she's done too much damage to the Mojave and its people. I had to do it. I activated God mode, and this is some fucking anime-ass bullshit. If you have epilepsy, I would advise not looking at whatever the fuck's gonna happen next, but yeah. She learned Shadow Clone Jitsu and turned Fallout New Vegas into a late 2000s epileptic screensaver, and with that, I kind of beat Fallout New Vegas with the worst companion of all time. I mean, I'm stuck here for a while, but she's going to die eventually. Thank you all so much for watching, but a bigger thank you to my patrons who have disposable income and like having their names at the end of these videos. Here's arbitrary buttons to make arbitrary numbers go up, and as always, true to Kaiser. Haha, get it? I said the thing. I'm sad.